I'm going to tell them all about this time. It was Bobby coughing in the microphone. You're coughing on me right now.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
He coughs on us instead.
He wants to cough now.
Oh, let's see your screen filter.
All right. Well, you can take a look at my screen filter when I get a chance to do some of the things I've been saying I wanted to do around here.
Do what? Like
I want more responsibilities. I want to be able to
on
be
the show.
Yeah, I want to pick out all the pictures that go on the website.
You can do more research.
I mean, I'm okay. I can do more research. Yeah, absolutely.
Except for when, stop saving it for whenever you're just taking a dump.
Ew, what is this? It just came out my mouth. It looks like breakfast sauce on a steak egg bagel.
Episode 39.
Episode 39.
You pumped, Donna?
Yeah.
Episode 39. What we're doing, guys?
I'm excited too.
What
I'm
are we doing,
pumped too,
Teddy?
Bobby.
What are we doing? You want to tell them? Yeah.
This is the countdown episode.
Yeah,
Countdown.
Countdown. Top 10.
Top fucking 10. Jack, you better buckle up. Stop being a pansy.
Yeah. So,
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I got excited.
for anybody not familiar with the case, we're going to run through our top 10 suspects that we all agreed upon to put
That's
in order.
right, Bobby.
Based upon all the knowledge of the last 38 episodes and all our research. And we're going to show you where we're at right now.
And just so people know, number 10 is going to be the least likely suspect of the list.
Yeah, for people that have never seen a top 10 countdown before.
It's going to go like 3, 2, 1. Those are the top 3 and top 2 and the top 1.
Very good, very good.
It's good to say that now.
So for all our teddy bears out there,
confused.
it's yeah.
Right.
Well, hey, I'm pumped. Are you guys pumped? Let's get it started.
I am pumped.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I'm Bobby Pavlovsky.
I'm Teddy Ryan here.
And this is
JonBenet today. Pygmy hippo. They're really tiny.
Pygmy hippo.
They're tiny. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
There's a hippo over in
A
Myanmar
pygmy?
called Moondang, and it's so cute. You should look up a clip
Of what?
of the hippo,
Yeah,
the pygmy
let's look at
hippo,
it.
Moondang.
Can you tell me what the actual thing is? Moondang?
Moondang.
Is this what
M-O-O.
they did on Saturday Night Live?
It's a little hippo.
I think Saturday Night Live.
Look at that
Boy.
And she's got that though.
Moondang showcases
little
her signature
sassy thing.
showcases her signature sassiness in viral videos.
Moondang.
I love her.
Look at that tiny little
the New York
baby.
Post. Could Moondang be canceled? Leaked video. Wait.
Shut the fuck
Leaked video
up.
shows
way.
famed baby hippo biting zoo worker. Kind of mean in quotes. Oh. The New York Post.
Fuck that hippo.
New York Post never change, please.
Oh my God.
Good God.
Cancel that fucking hippo now. I've completely changed my opinion and emotion in a millisecond based off new facts. And
Because it
being
could be
new.
mean. What is this, like an Ellen thing? Is that what
It's
they're doing?
terrifying. Look at it. It looks at humans like they're meat. And yeah, we meat. And we're bone.
So mean
and
as-
bone
mean
marrow.
as celebrities.
But we're also people.
Ellen DeGeneres and Moondang.
And organs.
And Moondang.
Ellen DeGeneres, Moondang. Maybe they were at the P. Diddy white parties. Oh my God. Have you heard about
they went
that?
as a
I think
couple.
Moondang is too young.
Oh, maybe she was one of the ones assaulted because they went after children.
That's true.
It was horrible.
They did.
Yeah.
They just said yesterday
It's a sex
the youngest one is 9 years old.
Jesus, my
good
God.
fucking-
I can't believe it. 9 years old?
Diddy's going down. Yeah, and apparently they're gonna name other names.
He
Too.
f***ed a 9-year-old.
These are people that
Jesus.
come forward with the sexual harassment things or whatever.
Oh my God, Donna, did they do anything to you? Because that would explain a lot.
No.
Not to mention probably that like weird pheromone odor you have, which repels
I mean,
men.
after
what, Teddy?
witnessing
It's
what
enough.
you've done to Donna, I feel like if she did end up at a Diddy party, she would just willingly go along with it.
You see chaos, I see order. I see a soul in need. And guess what? She's better now. Look
I'm
at her.
better than
She sits
that.
up higher. She used to be slunched over like a goddamn troll.
I'm not gonna.
I'm just saying, her posture was horrible.
Well, yeah, she's got to be on
Thanks
alert.
a lot, Teddy.
You're welcome.
Dangerous person.
I mean, I really appreciate that. Oh, anyway.
So we're gonna do our top 10 suspects countdown, but before that, we got some entertainment news. So entertainment today.
Entertainment today. Entertainment today. I love it.
Just beautiful.
Who doesn't? You know.
Well, some people, they probably don't like it. It's just the law of averages.
Well, Garrett Hedlund, our resident Steve Thomas for the JonBenet miniseries that just started production this last week.
Handsome man who shaved his face.
Yes.
He talked with Collider about Tulsa King Season 2, which is premiering and people seem to like it.
Oh, is that a show that people watch?
Terrence
Collider.
Winter. is one of the creators.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Terrence,
Well,
wait,
oh, okay, maybe.
Oh my god!
So it could
You
be
might as well
good.
tell me it's fucking Toni Morrison or Maya Angelou. Like Terrence Winter is a goddamn poet of the senses.
Wow, really changed it for him.
You know Terrence Winter.
But he sat down with Collider to talk about that, and they talked a little bit about the JonBenet role.
Oh, I was thinking of Terrence Malick.
No,
Terrence Winter was from the and Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a different thing.
So he said, Steve Thomas is who I'm playing. He was wonderfully dedicated and committed to this case. He was committed to finding JonBenet's killer. He wrote a very detailed book about this and wrote a very direct letter back then to the DA's office, holding no bars back, voicing his opinion of how this case was handled. There was a lot there, and I really wanted to be a part of it. They asked him how many episodes were it. He said 8, and that he hopes he can reveal all that information.
Oh, yeah.
Whoopsie.
Shut up.
They asked him, one of the things about the JonBenet case is that so many people have opinions about what happened, but your character really lays out his thoughts in that book. I'm curious how the series will sort of figure out, or not figure out, someone's strong opinion on what happened. He answers, yeah, a lot of people had their theories about everything, but also a lot of people had their anger about steps that weren't taken in the investigation. What my character laid out was really that all those steps were tried to have been taken. There was just a lot of people responsible for not allowing them to be taken, which could be news to the public that are unfamiliar with the politics that were going on. But yeah, it's meaty.
Well.
So I think we got an idea of where they're going to stand on this case.
Love this.
Very fascinating, and for members of our audience who are trained to parcel through the parcel tongue of a lot of people's subtle subterfuges, actions. We know Steve Thomas. He was a righteous man that tried to cut through the politics and the bullshit and the lies, and was maligned the entire night. And now we finally have, much in like a Masha Gay, Sarah Paulson sort of way, from the O.J. Simpson trial miniseries that FX did with Ryan Murphy. I love Ryan Murphy, by the way. He's terrifying, but he's a predator. But he makes a lot of great TV.
The Bryan Singer of television. Actresses over 45 love him.
They love him, and I love actresses over 45.
Who doesn't?
We love it. Anyway, it's almost like he's going to get to be an antagonist to the Ramseys, but a protagonist possibly for the audience, or a way to sift through all the bullshit, and a great device when it comes to, like, a dramatic device as a character, of being in the scenes that where we get to illustrate and highlight and realize and see of where it wasn't virtue for the truth and finding, you know, and solving this case that resulted in a lot of decisions made by committees in different sectors that obviously stunted, you know what I mean,
right.
certain important facts getting out there, and a lot of people's anger or maybe sometimes like the emotional trigger that the case has a plethora of. There's so many different parts of this case that can be just at least one thing that just fucking ruins your day.
Right.
And yeah, but that's also born out of the fact that a lot of people think that a lot of things weren't done. And he gets to show, no, we tried to do it, but it was the Ramsey lawyer, or it was the DA, or it was...
And I wonder how much they're actually going to like show of him, like, because it says 8 episodes and it sounds like he's going to be all 8.
Oh, wow.
So it makes me wonder how far the timeline they're going to extend, because his story with them really kind of ends after, you know, he retires. He writes a book, does the face-off with them on Larry King.
Oh, yeah.
I certainly hope is included, because that's unprecedented.
Oh,
to
yeah.
have
Oh,
the
yeah.
cop that accused these people.
Oh, it's got to be
sitting
included.
Right across from him, which is
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah, Bobby, play a clip with it.
All right.
Is it difficult for you to sit in Steve's presence?
It's not pleasant. This man has harmed us deeply. He's failed in his responsibilities as a police officer. He's failed us. He's failed JonBenet. He's failed the community of Boulder. It's not pleasant. No.
Steve,
Well,
how do you
let's
respond?
talk about failure. Let's talk about parents who I feel have failed their daughter, who, after this became a homicide, of course they cooperated when it was a kidnapping, but after it became a homicide, Patsy, you waited 4 months before you came in and talked to the Boulder Police Department and answered questions. You were the only one who showed evidence to suggest
that
authorship.
And why then didn't
Patsy
they go
respond
right
to
in
that,
and
John.
arrest?
Steve,
Why didn't they, once you
Probable
booked?
cause, these people know better than anybody. Probable cause was not the issue in this case. Patsy, you could have been arrested in this case.
I wish
You
I
could-
had been, and
you-
then we
are you
would have
s-
had a free and fair trial, and you would have met your Waterloo, Mr. Thomas.
And so I want to know where that goes,
Classic.
because
God.
again, he
Fuck.
he also left off with this whole grand jury thing where he thought, you know, for the longest time, where it's like, okay, maybe doubting himself, was I wrong kind of thing. But we haven't really heard from him that much, since then, except for that one documentary. But so it'd be fascinating to see, unless it's going to be like flashing back and forth.
Could be.
Which would be another interesting.
What if they had a serial killer in it and they just started killing off everybody? And it was like, it's another dimension of JonBenet Ramsey, where it's like, JonBenet Ramsey's Casey Becker in Scream.
I certainly hope not.
Patsy Ramsey is Sidney Prescott in Scream.
That's a terrible idea.
John Ramsey, he's Randy in Scream.
I get it.
Okay.
I get what you
Well, I'm just talking about, you remember Scream.
I could picture everybody.
Okay.
I remember.
Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
Courtney
It's
Cox.
a terrible idea.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
Let's hope they're not doing
maybe
it.
they do it in different ways with other stories from the 90s. Columbine, Matthew Shepard,
what are you talking about?
the World Trade Center bombing in
You
1983.
talking about doing different stories?
I'm talking about like retelling history,
But putting Scream in it?
but changing it and making them into slasher movies. Yeah,
Scream 9/11.
yeah.
They should do that when it gets to
God.
Scream 9.
Scream 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah, this ghost is going to take down an entire skyscraper. It's going to be a scream scraper.
That's how they explain away Jenna Ortega on that one chick in the new one. It's like, oh no, those girls died in 9/11.
Uh-huh.
They moved to New York,
Yeah.
And they're like, what? That didn't even
One
take
was in the
place
plane.
then. They're like, shut up.
One was in the
moving
plane
on.
and one was in the building, and it was like they kissed.
Oh, racy.
I mean, no one has a sex scene set in the Twin Towers. Where's the porn for that? I've been searching. What?
Twin Towers?
What are you talking about?
Twin
Stop
Towers.
looking at me. No, I'm not looking at 9/11
Nobody's
porn.
asking for that.
I'm not watching 9/11 porn, Bobby. Can we
one
just move on
asked
to instead of 9 or 11, the top 10?
What would that even be?
The top 10, Bobby.
Yeah, the top 10. Let's do the top 10.
Let's do the top 10.
That's it for entertainment news.
Entertainment today. God, I love that theme song. I love our theme songs. We do good ones. We should do a top 10 of our top 10 theme songs sometime.
Yeah, maybe for the Patreon.
Okay.
All right, we'll work on it.
Everybody join the Patreon.
Everybody join the Patreon. Link below.
Please.
Well, you love
You can join as
listen
a
to us,
free
don't
member
you?
too. It doesn't matter. Just join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do our top 10. You guys ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right, here's some sort of theme for it. So before we get into the the meat and potatoes of the official top 10, we would be remiss if we didn't start with our honorable mentions.
Then we gotta do honorable mentions. Then we gotta eat some meat and potatoes. Where are the potatoes?
That weren't quite on the list.
It's figurative. So
What?
it's figurative potatoes. And meat.
Figurative.
Anywho,
Fingerling
there's no meat.
potatoes?
Fingerling potatoes.
No,
I like
he
those.
asked where the meat was. You're not getting meat. There's
Bobby,
no
what
meat.
the fuck is going on here? Are we doing a top 10 or night?
We're doing the top 10.
Okay.
All right, honorable mentions. We're going to start off with, and this is in no particular order, by the way. We didn't rate or grade these honorable mentions in.
No, we didn't.
No.
Unlike the top 10. The first one up is Linda Hoffman Pugh, the nanny.
Ugh. Oh. She sounds like Fran Drescher when she queefs.
No.
You've never heard Linda Harmon Poe queef. and actually, can I start this off on a serious note, Bobby? I just want everybody from this point onward. Please respect Linda Harmon Poe as a real person who's got emotions, and she shouldn't be characterized, castigated, and character critically maligned in any kind of way by bringing to light and making fun of her for her last name sounding like the word Poe.
I don't think anyone's doing that. So.
When they say Lynn Hoffman Poe, they say things like she's a sneaky fucking bitch.
Nobody says that.
They're like, oh my god, I hope her entire
We're over
bloodline.
You're the only one
that.
doing
Like, there's
that.
like
No.
Florence Pugh.
And
Like, I mean,
it's
we're
like-
over that.
It's just give it a break, guys.
That's true. Yeah,
just
We're not
stop.
related.
Like, just stop doing it, everybody.
Nanny. But
No.
so Linda Hoffman Pugh was a original suspect named by the Ramseys.
Yes.
They believed it might have been financially motivated, as she did recently, within the last couple days, ask for $2,000.
Yeah.
To which Patsy was going to be leaving her a check out for it.
So she could buy Christmas gifts for her kids. I remember that.
But also, I know she
okay.
wasn't making enough a week to be like, she would have been paying that off for a long time. so I
Well,
don't
and that's
understand.
also a weird, horrible thing about this is that they're her employ and they don't pay her enough, so
Well,
that
maybe
she
it
has to
was
ask
like-
them for an extra $2,000, not even as a
She might
bonus,
have gotten a Christmas bonus.
as a loan.
Or maybe she just knew that they had the money.
Maybe it
With the
was a
Access
gift,
graphics.
but then they tried to make it sound like a loan so that they could
viable,
use her as a suspect.
Viable suspect if they're just going off the top of the head because they're just trying to
No.
figure out. And she also has access to the home.
Right.
She
She's
does.
around.
Linda Hoffman Pugh would fire back though. She very much has a theory in mind, and she believes Patsy did it. She wrote a tell-all first chapter that she was
Yes.
trying to turn into a book. We covered it on an episode that you can click the link above.
It was
here.
juicy.
It was very juicy.
But like in a way that like sewage is juicy.
It highlighted the troubles in John and Patsy's marriage. Patsy didn't like giving blowjobs.
His dick tasted sour, she
Stinky.
said.
One of the more interesting
Yeah.
contributions I think she provided to the case, though, was when she gave a press conference in regards to the Swiss Army knife that was found
She
next
gave
to.
a press conference.
You know this. We've played this.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It was a Swiss Army knife that was found next to JonBenet's body. That is, it's known to be Burke's.
Well, for instance, I've always said the Swiss Army knife that I hid, put away in a cupboard, there's only one person that would have found it, and that was Patsy Ramsey, and they found it in the room where they found JonBenet.
So she fired back with her own claims.
And it's like that's something that's very specific that makes me almost
Right.
go, ooh, that's someone who knows the inside of this house, because also she was the person who knew the inside of the house.
Well, she cleaned it.
It's not like they were like, oh no, this is a lady who's just like putting on a wig and an outfit, and she's really Patrick Swayze, like trying to say that she was our housekeeper. That was their housekeeper. And so then for me to go just blindly, because the Ramseys at one point in their whole fucking, they named everybody as a suspect, and then so like then what does it even mean for like to be picked as a suspect by the Ramseys when their criteria just seems to be only on the basis of you're not saying the same thing and falling in line with us
Well,
and what our
again,
lawyers want.
I agree. These are based off the initial police report. So I agree when they're like asking them to think of people.
True.
But if we're gonna go off the motive of they set it up, it's really fucked up to be immediately thinking of people you could throw under the bus to misdirect.
And me as like in the
Right.
public, which maybe if I was stupid in the 90s, well, I kind of worry. Like I'm like, oh well, guess what? She had just borrowed $2,000 a couple days before, so she would definitely ask for $118,000.
Right, to round it off, which
Like-
you need 124 kind
Like
of.
I asked for 120.
But she's also provided us like really interesting tidbits too, like that Patsy, like her job is to do the whole house and everything like that. The only job that she didn't do in that house was to change JonBenet's bed sheets.
That's right. Patsy would do
Yes,
that.
yes,
The ones that
yes.
she would-
Patsy made a point to do that.
And Linda Hoffman Pugh also pointed out to us the whole bleaching her hair thing. She's definitely bleaching her hair.
That was not her natural hair color. Everybody, maybe people don't know that about
And
JonBenet.
she says that there's an account where she saw Patsy basically take JonBenet into the restroom to abuse her, or she heard it.
Probably yanked her by the fucking wrist and was like, "Oh my god, look how that little girl shakes like a fucking test dummy in a car crash." Wow.
And so that Linda Hoffman Pugh, not a suspect.
Not a suspect. She's cleared.
She was cleared by the police. Moving on to our next set of suspects.
Yes.
Our recent friends, the Whites.
The
We
Whites.
just did an episode on them, which we'll link above. But they were also, actually later named by the Ramseys as suspects only after they fell out of favor
with the Ramseys.
Right.
John suggested that Priscilla could be jealous of Patsy and stuff like
Oh
that.
my
Oh, this jealousy
God.
thing. God. Ugh.
And it's like your dick tastes sour, dude. I'm not jealous.
No one's jealous of that.
And it's ballsy to be like, I'm going to turn on the people that were with me.
Literally, the first people I called after.
Stab 'em
But
right in the
John's
back.
tried to explain it away in the way they always do. Well, we were told, kind of thing, where it's the police, our lawyers went to all of our friends and basically said, well, John and Patsy, we didn't know they were going to do tactics like that. But it was, no, you actually did do that shit.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they tried to backtrack much later.
And it's like that. This is the thing. Like with the Weiss, it don't make no fucking sense for them to be listed as suspects neither. Like, how are these two people, these adults, these grown-ass friends of yours that just hosted
what
a Christmas
end?
party, to what end? They're gonna come in your house and they're gonna kill JonBenet, and then they're gonna stage a fucking thing that basically anything that you would have done, but it's someone else. And it's
been
like, that don't make no
witnessed-
sense to ever list them as suspects.
It does in the way of, if you think of it in that, the Whites and Linda Hoffman Pugh, those are both character witnesses to you.
Yes.
With weird stuff happening, such as the phone call, the 911 call, and the Christmas party, by the way. Linda Hoffman Pugh with their stories. And so let's immediately throw these people's credibility under the bus.
so that if they were to say anything bad about you in the future, you
Right.
could immediately say it's because they're
they were
jealous
also
or because they're
retaliating.
and they were also one-time suspects.
Right.
fucking bitches. They're
Just great
they're
people.
clear.
What?
They're just weak. Like the people. There's people that are going to throw you under the bus, and it's fascinating to see it being done on this kind of scale with these kinds of relationships between people, because you also don't expect these kinds of high society people to be so almost recklessly.
They have more power.
Well,
They know you can't speak out. These people,
It's like
Yeah,
the Mean Girls.
even if they do, it's who's
good
hearing
God.
you versus these Ramseys.
But it's but also most of them get away with their kid never dying. You know what I mean? Or like,
Most people do, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, and it's like, but these people were actually like in the situation, and to see how far the extent they went, and still go to this day, to shovel a lie.
And control the message.
And to try to protect them from any liability and any accountability and what it could even have been an accident, to the extent in which every fucking person that was close to them, they threw under the goddamn bus. And several people's lives were completely ruined, including our next honorable
And
mention.
that's the thing is, though, those were people that were able to speak up for themselves and still were kind of silent. This next person, they couldn't even speak up for themselves. And that's why we're moving on to Mr. Michael Helgoff.
Oh, Helgoff. Michael Helgoff. A tragedy.
Remember that song?
Oh, yeah.
Play a bit of a song, Bobby.
My hell is blue. My hell goes
Oh, God.
So emotional.
Oh, I mean, but also it's just like Michael Helgoff is a guy where in Mortis, he was already dead. They started going, oh, he said that.
Well, let's tell people what happened.
Tell them about Bobby.
What happened. Michael Helgoff was working at a junkyard, basically.
A junkyard, people.
He'd recently gone through a breakup with a girlfriend, and on Valentine's Day,
he lived in a trailer.
Yeah, when Alex Hunter gave that famed press conference where he said, you know, you're on the list, and we'll find you.
February 13th or February 14th.
Yeah, the day before Valentine's Day.
Day before Valentine's Day.
And so he supposedly shot himself with his non-dominant hand, with like a pillow too,
in his trailer,
in the chest, and then he also had high-tech boots laid out, a stun gun, and supposedly a hat that said SBTC on it.
Yeah, yeah, little props, just like you would find in a community theater fashion, to
Just
have blatant references.
As a real criminal, they ruled it as suicide. And it was only years later where it was unearthed by a friend of his. Lou Smith was talking to him. Here's the guy right here.
Lou Smith calls me cold, and I said to him, I've been praying for somebody to call and want to listen. Mike said he wanted to kill himself to get it over with, and that's one thing. And then he said that him and a partner were going to make $50,000 or $60,000 at Christmas. He wanted to crack a human skull.
It's like, okay.
Very specific.
Very specific, and also not like, I don't know. I don't like in listening to that and John Kennedy talk about it that way at that moment. I believe him even less of like the details of what he's saying.
And we did a whole episode on that, which again, you can click the link above right
Great
now.
episode.
And he was a very shady character, that John Kennedy. We found out later that he broke into Michael Helgoff's trailer.
He broke into his trailer.
Stole the boots.
Stole them.
And then eventually gave them 4 years later to Ollie Gray and
John That's what you do.
Yeah,
that's
Jonathan
what you
Augustine
do.
and Ollie Gray.
Right.
And he gave it over to them, who then turned it over to Lou, who turned it over to the police.
And then
the police cleared it. And that's because they didn't know at that time they had already linked the boot print to Burke.
Yeah.
But they were still insisting on it. And then Ollie Gray goes in the press and he's like, I don't even know how they tested it. It was all bullshit. Watch the episode. It's great. Michael Helgoff was not a suspect, though. Really, he was only ever a suspect by the Ramseys. That's why we don't even put him. Not even by the Ramseys, but by Lou Smith. He was loosely put on way after. He was never initially looked into.
His name has been maligned long after his death. Even his family's come out like a distant like cousin or somebody, a niece on like Reddit, to defend him. And just because this is a guy who just didn't have a voice and continues. You know, his last name was Helgoff. Can you imagine in that day and age? You got the district attorney coming out saying we're gonna find the killer for JonBenet. Blah 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 blah. And then what if I almost just wonder what if it was part of some weird sort of cold calculated criminal defense scheme to like whether it was even killing this guy themselves or just capitalizing off of this guy's suicide or whatever in between for the Ramsey's legal team to manipulate and try to facilitate where Michael Helgoff gets the blame pinned on him and he's dead. He can't defend himself. Nobody loves him. Nobody knows him. He was like, he had like an abusive dad or some shit like that. And it's just like, he was like a stepkid of the Helgoffs or something like that. I remember. But like, it's a guy literally living in a trailer near like a fucking trash dump that he works at. But the point being is just that like it's more dramatic and more beautiful, like in a like a Lars von Trier movie, you know.
We talked about that in the episode.
But at that point, yeah, and so he definitely didn't do it. But also, and nobody should list him as a suspect ever again. If anyone that brings him up, that's going to be for me a dog whistle that says they're bullshit.
And the point we make in the episode too is that if anything, I would like his death to actually be more investigated because it seems like somebody set up some sort of crime scene.
I agree.
That the police might have just ignored.
I feel like if they were going to go with that Lou Smith sort of intrigue Intruder theory, they were gonna have it be him, but then they chickened out because they felt like for some whatever fucking reason, like it wouldn't have worked the way they wanted it.
And these items
it was like
that were,
11th hour.
you know,
Stop.
The items that were placed out were also items that, like, this wasn't known to the public yet. We're talking February of 1997. Nobody really knew the ransom note, whatever, like the very specifics of the case.
Yeah.
So to have these things laid out intricately like that, it's just very weird. It's kind of tragic, but he's not a suspect, and we're not putting him on there. Next up is the Boulder Police Department conspiracy. These people are out there that put them as suspects. And to that I say, to what end?
Exactly, it's the same question. To what end? Like that doesn't make any fucking sense.
In those theories too.
But Boulder Police Department, like what the fuck?
Oh, they're jealous of John, but like what interactions have they had before? It's stupid. Like,
No. BPD, leave BPD out of this, and stick with bipolar disorder.
That's like an obvious, like, oh, it's a police department. Like, okay.
But also why? Though?
Wow,
like,
amazing commentary.
It was like, oh, they thought they were gonna get the money. Like, why would they?
Like, what are they gonna do? Like, oh, we gotta ceremonially kill this little girl or some shit like that, like some kind of ritual. Like, it's so weird when like they think of like, oh, multiple people were in on it, like a big gang of people.
And that leads us to our next theory, actually.
Oh, really?
Is that it was a sex ring conspiracy or some
Oh,
sort of thing. And we covered some of that in our North Fox Island episodes, which I'll link above right here too.
Systematic child sex abuse is not a foreign concept, even in rich circles.
We found that,
but it doesn't mean that there's always people like organized.
Right. We found that John's father might have been tied to this man that ran North Fox Island, which was an island where they were molesting little boys and filming them.
Up in
and
Michigan.
He was a part of a more international ring where they were distributing child pornography.
That's true.
And shuttling different boys from different camps. It was a whole thing.
And
got blown open.
we even see what happens like with P. Diddy in the music industries.
Oh my God.
But the way that he was connected, though, is that he was basically the director of aeronautics for Michigan.
Yeah.
And so he could choose where they put in airports. They doubled the amount of airports that they had.
Crazy.
Almost like tripled it while
Tripled
during his tenure. Opened up so many routes, and he was very high society. People like he, schlubbed a lot of people over there. So
and a lot of wealthy people in Michigan have private runways for their private planes.
And John met
obviously.
Pasta J there, I believe, because I saw Jay Olowski was from Michigan too.
Pasta J,
the guy that runs the Pasta J's, it's like a pizza place.
He was in Upper
It's almost like a
Peninsula,
real life
Michigan.
Pizzagate type thing.
Oh my
where it's
God!
Like if they
Oh
were,
my God.
because they're still business partners now, and it's like they open another Pasta J's
my
in Moab,
God.
Utah.
What?
John's a pilot, and
I bet you, if we took a tally of all the pedophiles in the world and asked how many of them have ever had pizza, you'd be shocked.
right. And another thing that kind of plays into this is there's a theory out there that in one of the last photos taken of JonBenet that's only available on this A&E documentary that was the untold story of JonBenet.
And you
With
told story
Elizabeth
about
Vargas.
with Elizabeth Vargas. I love Elizabeth Vargas.
People caught on that there was this picture shown that they showed, and it's in the background. People are very convinced that it is Ghislaine Maxwell
Shut up.
Wait, in the corner?
in the corner.
Oh my God.
And like kind of like the nose, like if you look at that nose, like the side nose.
You know what that picture reminds me of? Remember that optical illusion illustration where it's like either you see a young woman or an old crow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right there.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's like a woman dancing, or it's a old lady's big nose.
right.
And it's like
Oh my
kind of like
God.
that's both of those. That looks like Ghislaine Maxwell. You should show the audience that. I want to know
It's
what they
up
think.
for the audience.
Oh, okay, all right. Don't
But-
yell at me. Jesus Christ, fucking God.
Just very weird. They also again have the same lawyers
Oh,
as
yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's
the
true.
The Haddon Morgan.
But see, but that's okay. That's supposed to be at Christmas time. That don't look like
Well, this is no like Thanksgiving. This would have been in New York, I believe.
That
And
does
they
not
went
look
to
like the
the-
last photo taken of JonBenet because
is
that
she
looks
like
like
a
she's wearing a
pilgrim?
pilgrim
I said
outfit.
one of the last photos.
Bobby, I'm not yelling at you. Jesus,
It's one of the last photos. Nobody said it was the last one.
Most people say it's the last one.
No, they don't.
Look it up.
Nobody says it. If there's other, no, they don't say that.
Just fucking look it up. What does
Look.
it say right there?
No, that's her last photo. They even say that in there.
Oh God, that's a scary last photo.
There you go.
Well, let me see that photo.
Well, one of the last.
Because that looks like she is in a drug sex ring. She looks tired, but like wired. She looks like she's on a
Tired and wired.
She looks like she's got cocaine in her system.
Jesus. She's all drugged.
tweaking.
Those eyes are tweaking.
Yeah.
But this is not on our official top 10.
Anyway, but yeah, back to the Thanksgiving photo. Yeah, she's dressed as a pilgrim, which is even more suspicious because then she's in New York City. And it's like, oh.
It was the girls' trip where they went
Yeah.
to, and that's where they got the FAO Schwartz presents that we found later unwrapped.
But then
in the
also,
basement.
like, what could be happening? Like, what's in those bags at FAO Schwartz? Like, I've watched enough Martin Scorsese movies where it's like, oh, the wives are going to the beauty salon, but really that's when they're picking up a
this
bag
is
of
where they
cash.
scouted her out.
This is
where they scouted her
there's
out.
something
This is
to-
where she
Right.
met the
Ostensibly,
the
there could be
client.
something like that, yeah.
God. It's like, hey,
I mean,
John, we'll bail you out.
Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, they lived in New York City, amongst other places. So, but also Ghislaine had the same lawyers as the Ramseys.
yeah.
And so it's like, well, maybe are those lawyers based in
a
Boulder? Or are they
loose
based in New York?
connection.
Like,
Right.
but what?
How'd you hear about him, you know?
But a month earlier, prior to her death, it's not like this was a year before or 2 years. This was a month before, and this is while she's in New York. And look at that lady's fucking profile. I need
And it's
AI
interesting that this
to
is
do something.
It was only recently unearthed in 2019. So I think it's the thing where the Ramseys provided this, or at least John did. Maybe absent-mindedly too, not
my
knowing
God.
why this was never.
Yeah.
'cause maybe Patsy again.
Well,
Patsy's dead at this point.
Yeah.
So it's John's got all these photos, and maybe it's the thing if there's a reason this has never been provided forth. Or
Well, you
whatever,
know
like-
what's crazy now that I think about it? And man, I feel weird about it. But like, that's also like, what was the time when Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, when they each respectively were fucking arrested?
Was it 2018?
Was it around 2019? I'm like, could this have been something that's like from some sort of evidence vault of some sort?
No,
Where it's like,
and then they gave it to A&E. What are you talking about? Get the fuck out of here with
All
that.
right, whatever.
It was a pro Ramsey doc. They gave him the picture.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
so stupid.
Bobby has been so fucking mean to me ever since. I mean, I think he doesn't like me seeing me do well. I'm doing very well. I mean, I'm making all this money from these ladies' jewelry, and I'm using toilets you never believe. You would never. You don't even. Do you even know what a bidet is? Can you spell it?
I do. BIDET.
Oh my God. Well, it's very similar to Benet, but that's all right.
JonBenet.
Just because you
JonBenet today.
JonBenet bidet.
JonBenet.
JonBenet bidet. Oh my God, we should make those.
JonBenet bidet.
JonBenet. That's just disrespectful.
Oh my God.
What? It would
I
have been
can't-
perfect. If she had a fucking bidet, she would have been yelling for everybody to help her wipe.
I mean,
You
God,
know what? That is an
You're-
excellent
you're right.
point.
A
You're
bidet
absolutely right.
could have changed the course
A
of
bidet
history.
Could've
would have saved the
changed
day.
Everyone's lives.
Holy shit. That's the thing that no one
Wow,
talks about.
Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
Big toilet honestly caused most of the issues in the world. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just like how we can be shitting outside and we don't got to be shitting no porcelain things because it costs money to make toilets and set up plumbing and stuff. But also, like, they're stopping us from, if we're going to do that route, we could have bidets and she would never have had no diaper rash at night because they could have just, she didn't have to wipe.
And Patsy liked French shit too.
I
Right,
know.
yeah. Good
Maybe they only had one for their
point.
toilet.
Maybe Patsy was too busy hogging it, drinking out of it like a hamster.
Oh,
When
God.
did bidets get here, you know?
Yeah, what did the bidets get to? Or when did bidets get a bidet? That's what we got to ask
When
about
did the
Ramseys.
bidets get the bidet?
When JonBenet Ramsey,
Google JonBenet Ramsey bidet.
it doesn't look like she's ever had a bidet.
No, don't actually do it.
I'm
Don't,
not going
yeah,
to.
please don't do that.
I'm-
Hey, can we finish this? Can we get to the top 10?
Finally, one of the other ones on here is really less of a suspect and more of a theory, and it's the not dead Katy Perry theory.
Oh, that's right. That's
JonBenet
right.
is Not dead.
goodness.
She's actually Katy Perry.
She is Katy Perry. Yeah.
Not really a suspect there. I guess. I mean, there's still a dead little girl there, so people have seen that.
Well, I would have to question the people who profess who have known Katy Perry before she was the age of, I don't know, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gray area.
You
for
never
a lot of
hear.
people.
I've never heard one interview from someone who knew Katy Perry.
Well, I don't think it's ever been called into question.
Well, they should call into question because it's definitely a question I got.
Right. Well, those are our honorable mentions.
Top 10. The top 10 suspects.
Coming at you with number 10, straight from the North Pole. It's Santa Claus.
Whoa, gosh.
Oh,
Casey
goodness.
Kasem resurrected from the dead.
To do our top 10, that's fantastic.
So great.
It's a resurrection.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, top number 10, Bill McReynolds.
Bill McReynolds, not McDonald's,
No.
not Ronald McDonald's.
He was the Ramsey family Santa Claus, well, here's a little snippet on him right here.
I was the Santa Claus for 3 years at their party, and I always liked the Ramsey party, so I called Patsy in particular and said it's time for our party.
The latest comes from the mountain town of Rollinsville, west of Boulder, a place where residents Bill and JonBenet Ramsey are known as Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Merry Christmas.
They had been at the Ramsey home 2 nights before the murder of 6-year-old JonBenet, entertaining at a Christmas party. Police recently realized some strange parallels. One of the McReynolds daughters and a friend of hers were abducted in Longmont in 1974. The McReynolds girl witnessed her friend's molestation, but nobody was ever arrested. It happened on December 26th, 22 years to the day before JonBenet's body was discovered in the basement of the Ramsey family home. And JonBenet McReynolds wrote a play in 1976 called Hey Rube. It was about the sexual assault, torture, and murder of a girl. The child's body was found in a basement.
Time for a party.
I mean, yeah. So he's a creepy. I mean, he kind of fits the bill.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we're gonna do a Christmas party episode coming up, and we're gonna cover some of it. But his involvement with the Christmas party was a lot bigger than we originally thought.
It was.
We found out recently that he was actually working with a BBC crew who wanted to document Santas, and they wanted to document like a week in the life of an American Santa kind of thing. And so they followed him for most of the week, and he called up Patsy, and he did the whole, like he said, it's time for a party kind of thing. He called up Patsy, and so she wasn't going to have a Christmas party. They were not going to have one that year until he called her and was like, hey, this BBC crew is coming out.
My God.
They followed him all week. They were kind of tired of the guy. They were like, we got enough footage. Got to the day of Patsy's party. He shows up, no camera crew.
Much like the BBC's show Keeping Up Appearances. Patsy Ramsey is like a Coloradan Christian hyacinth bucket, where she's like always trying to keep up with the Johnsons.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
The
like
Kennedys.
The Kennedys, right?
Themselves the Kennedys.
And it's like, oh, you got Bill McReynolds going like, the BBC's, I've got a camera crew following me. They're going to see your house.
Time for our party. You better do it.
And it's like, I'm doing the party.
Status obsessed.
You know,
and
just
also,
trying to-
is this another catalyst that led to...
I bet the pressure on that, in
craziness.
addition to Christmas, in addition to everything else going on in that family, like that could have been the catalyst that really like lit the match, that, you know, lit the fuse, that then, you know, was to the bomb.
Led to
And
everything.
so, again, because of that BBC thing, again, this is one of the initial suspects, and that's why he's at number 10, because it's a little suspicious.
Yeah.
And the Ramseys initially thought him again because they started to wonder within the first week or so, was like, was that even real? Because they didn't have any actual proof that
That's a good
until
point.
and it did come out. There was a BBC thing, so there was a real thing.
Okay.
They did find it, but they did question it first, which is why they initially made him a suspect.
Right.
And because JonBenet had made a comment to a neighbor friend.
She commented.
She commented
What'd she
basically
say?
saying that Santa was going to be coming back to pay me an extra visit.
Ooh.
Which the
That's right, I remember
Fox,
that now.
the 1998 Fox TV movie Getting Away with Murder portrayed it in this fashion.
Did you have a good Christmas?
Santa's coming back to see me.
No, honey, Santa's already been here. He only comes once a year.
No, it will be a special visit. That's what Santa said.
Oh, okay.
Taking a lot of liberties there.
He's like, I gotta pee right now.
crazy.
She's just saying whatever the fuck she's saying. Like, okay, he's gonna
John
pay you
didn't
another
have
visit.
a conversation with that.
God.
But
What
again,
kind of visit is he gonna pay you?
that kind of ruined their lives a little bit.
Yes.
And they had
It was horrible.
Yeah, he couldn't get a job really as a Santa anymore.
No, I think they
did.
had to move out of state. I think they moved to like the Northeast, like New England.
And again, he denies it.
That beard is so Santa Claus coded.
Yeah, but his voice is creepy.
And she did have a torn up note from Santa supposedly in the trash of her room. So it was like, oh, suspicious.
That is weird. Why would there be a note from Santa? Who wrote that? Because
Wait,
was it
another
the real
note?
Santa?
Like, wait.
Could have been the real Santa. I mean, you know how many times I wanted a note from a real Santa Claus, and you got to be like on a special list. I think you
Right.
got to be Jewish. I think you got to be a bunch of things.
I don't know. She did. I mean, in those eyes of that picture that we saw of her, it did look like somebody who finally knew that Santa wasn't real.
Oh yeah, that was scary. That would wait. What do you mean?
If Santa wasn't real, he wouldn't be like wiping my ass in the bathroom and smelling like whiskey or something. I don't know.
Gross. Oh, that visual.
I do remember now that you told me before. Santa, I always have to learn again and again and again that Santa, it doesn't exist.
Because Nidra did say that anybody, like it didn't matter who it was, any adult who was nearby. Could you imagine that was the situation though?
They could have just written a
It's
letter
like
as Santa.
Santa going in there to like wipe her ass or something.
Oh my God.
Oh,
wait.
yeah.
Are you talking about Santa Claus wiping JonBenet's ass?
Yeah, because remember, Nidra was
someone needed to wipe.
saying that she didn't like. She would call out for anybody. It didn't matter what adult
Oh
was
my
around.
God.
And just the visual, like you would not believe in Santa after that.
I'm
where it's
picturing like some Pepto-Bismol pink bathroom, like half bath. And it's crowded, and he's got his whole outfit on. And you just hear like the jingling of all the his belt buckle and his boots. And
Oh my
he's just
God.
like, you know, lean over now, lean over. You know,
He grunts.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is weird, Santa. He's
Give
like,
me
don't worry,
Eskimo
this isn't
kisses.
Santa, this is Bill.
Yeah.
This is Bill now. Don't
give
worry.
me an Eskimo kiss, Eskimo
Oh wow,
queen.
you really got it all in. Okay.
Yeah.
That was done.
Locked
Okay,
in.
we're done.
Right.
Pee everywhere.
Right.
That's enough of that.
You're on the P list.
But he was cleared, okay? Him and his
He
wife,
didn't
like,
do it, people.
It was very suspicious.
You think that happened?
Just because he's
Santa
a weirdo
Claus wiping
doesn't mean he
JonBenet
did it.
clean?
Well, that's not really what we were speculating. It was whether or not he killed her.
Oh, okay.
And again, that's the thing of a ridiculous old man hiding in her room, like that old, like
Oh, yeah.
trying to move around, to, like,
Yeah,
do all this,
no.
like to capture the little girl and take a. It's
No.
absolutely
No,
ridiculous.
it's ridiculous.
And we've done an
It's
episode on this
ridiculous.
before, which you can click the link above.
Yeah. It was a good episode. Actually, I don't remember what episode. But anywho, number 9.
Okay, Daddy.
Number 9. Coming in at the number 9 It's the mysterious dinner guests from Pasta J's on December 20th. Among them, former employees of John Ramsey's Access Graphics. Coincidence or something more on the menu?
Oh, wow. That was
that's right. We're doing. Oh, that was all right. So, anybody that didn't watch our last episode, it was on Access Graphics. More specifically, the dinner guests that were later accused of being suspects.
People who worked at Access Graphics, people who didn't know when Access
That there was
Graphics no
some
more.
sort of conspiracy. Again, the link to the episode's right here.
And Don Paw saw them.
Don Paw saw one of the employees there, Tom Carson, who still worked there, who John described as basically never being able to peg down. He didn't like the guy, thought he was jealous of him, which John Douglas ended up using Tom Carson as the initial someone's jealous of you.
The
kind of
FBI profiler.
Right.
And that he wanted John's job is what John speculated. But Don Paw saw them at Pasta J's, which is a restaurant John owns, partially owns.
Partially owns.
On December 20th, 5 days before the murder, okay? And they were dining together, and Tom Carson was there with a bunch of ex-Access Graphics employees, some who had a troubled history with them, and they speculated it was a part of some sort of greater conspiracy that they possibly had at kill.
I speculated that too.
Well, I mean, that's why it's at number 9 here. We put this based on plausibility of stuff that could be, who could be the suspects.
Where the evidence that is discovered and where, our best inferences and where, there's probabilities. Yeah, there's something a little bit to it. A little bit more than at least Bill memos.
What do you think?
Reynolds.
What do you think?
I mean, it could just be a bunch of employees ragging on their boss, and then I feel like that's normal. Getting together with ex-coworkers.
Yeah,
it could just be that.
Then around Christmas time.
The day before their big company party, too.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And it's but they're at Pasta J's, which is John Ramsey partially owns Pasta J's.
Maybe he gets, does he pay for their food?
Oh, how many other people
do they
does
get a
Don Paw
discount?
saw?
That's true.
Does Don Paw saw other people there too? But this time he was but one of the maybe it's such a small community, or everybody goes to Pasta J's. It's he knew people at that table. There was other people at another table.
Don Paw
but he used
right there.
them being there to be that could be a
conspiracy.
A conspiracy.
Just be why are they all together?
Yeah. And again, Nidra referred that SBTC stood for son of a bitch Tom Carson.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't like him because he let her go from the Atlanta office. Again, all stuff we covered in the last episode. But that's why we put him at number 9.
Number 9, yeah. There isn't enough concrete, indication. Because what are they gonna is one of them going in the house? You know what I mean? Or did they hire an assassin? I mean, none of it fucking makes sense, in that respect. But
they may have had a gift exchange. Who knows?
They were probably just eating pasta. What Don Paw saw was Pasta J, Pasta Love, pasta
and
time.
Jeff Merrick was there with his wife and stuff, so it's they're not going to be plotting.
It's a get together.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous, yes.
But there are weird things about Access Graphics, and there's a lot of stuff in that company culture that we got that call from that one lady received, right? Where it's maybe there's stuff to it. But yeah.
Right. So that's we cleared those guys, and now we're gonna move on to number 8. Coming at you at number 8, a drifter in Boulder, Colorado, Gary Olive. Gary Olive.
Yeah.
The reason he's number 8 is because he's one of the few people that have actually confessed to killing JonBenet.
Oh.
Okay.
Gary Olive was a drifter who they found on the University of Colorado campus sleeping at night.
So he's not of right mind necessarily.
He was on that campus, which was a couple blocks away from the Ramley house.
And he had stuff in his backpack that suggested he might have done it. I don't know exactly what that was.
In his JanSport.
Or whatever. Wow. But they brought him in for questioning, and he was eventually let go. And then 2001, he ended up getting caught for actual having child porn.
Oh, Jesus. In 2001,
I believe he was running some sort of big thing where he was trying to sell some or buy some. We brought up Gary Olive earlier this year at the CrimeCon convention.
6 slain in Boulder, Colorado. And I knew something serious had happened that night. I go, wow, he actually killed a girl.
Absolutely jaw-dropping. That was Michael Vale talking about a call he got from a classmate, Gary Oliva, someone who was on some people's radar, but seemingly making a confession before it's in the paper.
Absolutely jaw-dropping.
Now, again, the police have looked into this
Jesus
and already
Christ.
cleared him. We've talked about this in our Intruder Theory episode, which I'll link above. But he's also recently let out of jail.
Yes.
So.
And look, no little girl been none killed by him. Shut up.
But they have re-brought him up to bring up this umbrella of suspicion, despite him previously being cleared years and years ago.
Oh.
So Gary Olivet was really just more of a fanatic, but he's high up on our list because you got to be in the top 10 if you actually say you did it.
His story is one of the stories the Ramseys will sometimes bring up when we already had a beginning, middle, and end with that being brought up in the past. And it highlights the very cynical public relations strategy that they have, where they act things like CrimeCon, which are basically excuses for them to put cameras on themselves and generate profit through some sort of media cultural obsession people have with true crime, because they're going to watch it on court TV or they're going to go there and they're going to buy the books and the mugs and the scarves and suck the dicks, because a lot of them are whores. But basically that whole sort of and it is like a self-suck fest. It's like a snake eating its tail. That is a snake sucking its own dick. Okay?
What the fuck?
Ouroboros. I'm talking about Greek icons of time going in and forever loop.
In relation to?
That it all looks like sucking your own dick.
Yeah, I don't see how this is all.
The point being is that when they have a chance to have an audience that they made for themselves.
You talking about Gary Olivet?
I'm talking about the Ramseys.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I'm saying that they don't use that window of opportunity to actually progress the case forward. They will often bring up things that they know they've already cycled through in past media cycles, even decades ago. And they bring, and Gary Olivet is the one that they most recently brought up as, look into that, when it was already fucking solved.
Much like our next one, John Marcotte, who was our boy of 2023 that they brought up as a suspect.
How you doing?
Okay. It was like being in the middle of a spy thriller.
I'm highly intimidated by John. Every time I've ever heard him talk after JonBenet's death, he's just been dead set on catching this killer. I don't want him catching me. No one's gonna catch me. I'll die before that.
I love JonBenet, and died accidentally.
Are you a yes or none?
No.
If they want to come up to me, sit in my lap, kiss me.
It involved the FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, British intelligence, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
And stick their tongue in my mouth. If that's what they want to do.
The only thing that I can say is it's not what it seems to be. It's in every way.
There are other people involved in knowing a child, and I wish to protect them. I can't discuss the details of my connection with her. It's unfortunate. I wished I could.
That's right, mister. If they want to lick ice cream right out of my mouth.
Oh my God.
So disgusting.
He is so fucking ridiculous.
Being very vague about his connection to the case, who basically, we did a 2-part episode on him, which you can watch above.
Now.
Where, he confessed to doing it. He's talked with Michael Tracy over a 4-year period in emails, which were monitored by Ollie Gray and John St. Augustine.
Yeah, which is like a weird detail that
they kept to themselves.
We kind of uncovered.
Which, John's also tried to say he'd never heard the name before. And it's like, your PIs were helping Michael Tracy draft these.
And for years, it wasn't like, damn, okay, he was being like, they were telling the police about him. It wasn't until after like a certain point where Michael Kelly and the official goes it was, I knew I had to do blah, blah, blah. But it also happened to be like really conveniently timed. And also,
John Marcotte was in Thailand.
It was after years. It was after 4 years.
He was fleeing child porn charges out of California.
That's right.
When he got arrested. So that's why he was even in Thailand. They bring him back. Mary Lacey makes this whole press conference to do. They get so many departments involved. He confesses to the police too. He got out, okay? But he didn't get out because then they transferred him over to California. Face his child porn charges.
That's right.
That he was originally fleeing. Gets to California. That trial basically goes haywire when they find out the evidence, his computer.
It was gone.
Is missing.
Yeah. The official story is that it was like lost when evidence was moved to a new building that was constructed. But it's like, okay, well, I guess the physical hard drive and monitor that you were using is just gone. It's like, but also was it ever there? Is that how they do that
was
shit?
Was this a tit for tat? Are we paying you, Patsy? You're like, hey, we're going to get you cleared off these charges.
So you can come back to the States, but you just got to say that you killed JonBenet. But when he's on these interviews, like he wasn't that one with that line. It's like he never ever actually like publicly claims at certain points, like he actually like certain things that like I don't know, might get him in hot water or might implicate.
He always just refers back to his original interviews with
walks up
confessions.
to it and then just like turns away and then
Yeah.
just like says like a vague like.
He's like, I cannot tell you because I have to protect the innocent or whatever.
Well, 'cause
but it's like,
he
you're also telling me you're the guy that.
He confessed in Bangkok, and so a lot of the times, like on the Paula interview we saw, he just refers back to that,
Bangkok.
where he's like, I've already said it, and unfortunately, I can't say it again.
But when you really parse through all the bullshit, mumble mouth, fucking nonsense, like in its essence, the story he kind of professes, if I recall correctly, is where it's like, yes, he was maybe even like in the room and maybe kissing or whatever, but there was an accident that happened where it's almost just like, I would never actually intentionally kill her, but I like squeezing her little neck or some shit like that. Where it or there's never any details in going like, I don't know. Getting him in actual legal trouble or where like getting the law following him, because at this rate everybody knows he wasn't in Colorado. Like, you know, it's hard to say that he actually knew her because his dad lives in Atlanta, not far from where Lynn Wood lives and where the Ramseys live in Georgia.
And he plays a game with Michael Tracy of like knowing a lot of facts throughout their email exchange. There's like a 91 report, which I read the whole thing. Again, you can watch in the episode. But in that, he basically is just like trying to show him like, hey, I know this special stuff, like the snot. How she had a bunch of snot. And then
Oh yeah.
The whole markers in the house thing of with a smiley face on her hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm a teacher, so I'd have a red pen. Vague on how he would know them. And so, I mean, in a weird universe, there could be the possibility that the Ramseys possibly, you know, invited this man into their lives and, you know, whatever. But either way, I think what happened was it was much after the fact that he expressed the condolences or whatever, but also is willing to be a patsy.
Yeah,
just paying yearly to...
You never hear in any of these, like the Death of Innocence or any of these accountings, like our relationship with John Mark Carr. Like, oh yeah, the Mark Carr family. You know, I mean,
yeah, why the fuck would they put that in there?
Well, but if they wanted to actually like have someone like who is a suspect and who gets arrested, you would think that he would be among the list of the whites and all the other people of like, oh yeah, and then that guy John Mark Carr was at a Christmas party or whatever. But
and he had confessed
never
earlier in like 2001 to a lady. That's what like led to the charges with his child porn thing. But they don't really link. For some reason, a lot of people don't originally link that part of it where it's he confessed to this lady who turned him in, and that's what led to this like seizing of the computer. Then he flees the country.
Crazy.
Then that computer goes missing, and he's back. And now just a patsy for eternity.
And now you can't use that in court because there's nothing that exists.
Yeah, he pretends to be a journalist.
Yeah.
And he's constantly updating the site. I haven't looked
His
at
site was so stupid. I just remember that right now. Yeah, no, I mean, and again, it just.
And he ran a different site that pretended to be a journalism site covering.
yeah. It was like the Italian word for like
she
girl.
whispers.
Yeah, she whispers. That's right.
Oh God.
Lisa Sarah,
boy,
ridiculous.
He's ridiculous.
So that's why he kind of ended up more of a joke that was attention seeking.
But definitely much more of a potential suspect than the other ones.
Again,
because he actually has the motivation.
And he admitted it.
And he admitted it.
Said it. Yeah.
But so for our final one for our part one, and our surprise suspect number 6, Don Pa.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Don Pa's number 6.
We did the pause a few episodes ago, linked above. And he's a very good argument to be made that Don Pa had something to do with this.
He's a creepy grandpa.
He's never spoken about
grandpa, exactly right, Diane.
Right? He's never spoken about the case publicly. We know they have a weird parenting style, and there's a possibility that he might have been molesting Patsy's sisters.
I mean, that's the creepy part of the whole concept of Don Pa having his own apartment or house in Boulder, Colorado, and maybe even Denver, but where Nidra wasn't with him because she preferred to be in fucking Roswell, Georgia.
And John left the kids with him, and he said he waffles on it where he goes, so a few hours, and then sometimes, they'd be there overnight.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you were originally trying to minimize it at first.
If you're leaving him overnight, then isn't he responsible for like wiping her? Like,
he would be the one responsible for wiping her if she had regularly has bad bathroom issues, Donna.
And he'd
That's
probably
true.
be very upset about the fact that they haven't gotten it.
You're a bad, ugly girl.
Oh, God, yeah. It's just disgusting. You're
Yeah.
disgusting.
I'm going to cut it off.
That's why she doesn't feel pretty at the Christmas party.
Because
Maybe he gets into an altercation with Flea, right?
He rubbed his flaccid dick against her and said no.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
Don Paul probably getting drunk.
Allegedly.
Drunkenly having to do that.
Oh,
Being
God.
weird with, no.
I mean, it's horrible.
That whiskey
and that's also the
dick,
thing.
yeah.
It's like, we see photos of Don Paul asses, whatever, and people go, oh, my God, he was a great HR guy.
And
but the hard part about,
hard
part about sexual assault and abuse, especially of children by adults, is that it's never the people that look like what you think. In the sense of, you know, we all have stereotypes of like, oh, that's a child molester. It may be.
Right.
Or maybe they're just thinking of kids when they eat in KFC.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But who actually does it and does it systematically and is part of that whole terrible fucking tradition that goes back to the dawn of the hunter-gatherers, drinking, you know, hysteria wines from the rivers. You know.
It's a chameleon.
Is that just like a huge proportion of fathers, uncles, grown men in people's lives, did horrible things to their kids.
Absolutely.
And especially their daughters.
And that's in the Patsy's interview. That's the thing. That's what's so weird about it, is because when they ask her originally, were you molested by your father? She gets kind of childlike and basically says no.
She regresses.
No.
Right.
Yeah. And then when they ask if their sisters were ever molested, she basically says, I don't know.
She says, I don't know.
So it's a whole thing of, there's a reason why she says, I don't know, when they've categorically denied so many other things in this case.
Right.
Where it's a thing of they just, you know, they were all asleep that night. So who's to say somebody didn't get up? But you can be like, no, they didn't do it. No, they didn't do it. And the only reason that you would waffle on that and say, I don't know, is if somebody else has already talked. If you're afraid that maybe they already know somebody was molested, and it would look bad if you say, I don't know, and it's like, oh yeah, well, we already got the fact that your dad molested your sister.
100,000%.
Should be caught in a lie. Yeah.
Yep. And then it would call into question everything else she said. So in her fucking like, I play chess, not checkers, Mr. Gooper Goop, kind of mindset, in that moment, she was like, I don't know.
And Don Pond mysteriously left, supposedly, on Christmas Eve. He got a standby flight that he wasn't supposed to have, and also he was never known to leave town.
Who leaves on Christmas Eve?
Exactly, when he was supposed to stay there.
And it was like soon after the Christmas party.
He went back there to go be with Nidra. And it was, soon after the Christmas party where there was some sort of incident where Fleet White called 911.
Someone called 911? Oh, no, well, Fleet White called 911.
Yeah, Fleet White called 911. And so some sort of incident, he just leaves town, supposedly. We really don't have any like sort of proof of this. Leaves town. Nidra later says that it's a good thing that he left town because he'd probably end up being a suspect.
Right.
John has no idea when he's questioned by police how his dad got there. He's like, sometimes he would take a car or a limo, but doesn't really directly answer like, how did he get there?
Oh my God.
When he, like left, and it's like, oh, you don't even know like
what's his alibi?
You don't talk. You haven't been on the phone with him.
Or did he just hide out that week? Because again, there's a thing. Most of the family members came back from Atlanta. Once they found out that JonBenet was, dead and they had to stay there.
But he left.
But Don had already left. Him and Nidra stayed in Atlanta.
And
people that were, they had been at home there. They were staples where they would watch kids all the time. It's weird that they didn't come back. Because then you got to talk to the police over there.
Wow.
If you go back to Boulder, then you got to talk to him. And Don Pod did not want to fucking do that.
No.
And we know he had a blow up on January 1st with
most
Fleet
grandparents
White,
would love to spend Christmas
where
with their family.
He hid guns under the sofa cushions.
Oh yes.
Awaiting Fleet White to get there.
Fleet White was looking for Don Pa, and Don Pa.
No, he was looking for John.
He was looking for John, but Don Pa was like, okay, we're gonna just fucking armada this place.
And the last time he saw him was the Christmas party. So it's like he's worried. Maybe what is he gonna say? Maybe JonBenet spoke,
or what he saw. Maybe he saw something.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's so
crazy. Because we know he's so quick to call 911.
Oh, Fleet White.
Fleet White, because when they first found JonBenet's body, they wanted to call. He was like, "Oh, I want to call 911." Not forgetting that there were police already there. Linda, all right.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the whole thing at the Christmas party where it's maybe he immediately discovered something and wanted to completely. Like, he called 911.
Yeah.
Cop gets there and Susan Stein calms everybody down. Cop never talks to him. And Fleet's never talked about that incident, so
it's like, what the fuck happened that night?
Right.
And that then led for Don Pa to leave the next night, and then for him not to be there in theory, like when that happened. But then also after where it was the funeral and everything, for Fleet White to want to fucking like, I'm gonna find John Ramsey, and Don Pa was like, I'll fucking potentially may need to shoot this man. And it's like, and also he's from West Virginia. He's from the hills, the holla. It's
the holla.
People got fucking right. People fuck their families in those places. I'm not saying everybody in the fucking place.
Well, I mean, apparently at that point in time, they were more high society out there because remember the whites getting uncomfortable with like how everybody was operating out there, where they had these maids.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The lady was worried about baccarat crystals or
which is more of that sort of like southern fucking veneer that's on top of like, oh, we're too good, and like we never, like, everybody tries to fight that, keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing of like appearing like they're perfect all the time. It's almost like it was almost like that sort of specimen was extracted from the blob of that area of the country and dropped in Boulder, Colorado, and it created like a spin cycle vortex.
That's true, yeah.
Amongst all these people from different culture, where it's not really like that, but it's like almost more of a Game of Thrones mind game,
Right.
and it's completely psychotic.
It is,
And-
especially to the point where you're gonna leave your kids with them,
It's
knowing
like building a plantation mentality in Boulder, Colorado. You know what I mean?
it didn't fit. Yeah,
It's like
That's
doesn't
why
fit,
Deidre hated
and it
it.
became dangerous. And like she hated it because also it's like when they go like, and it's tantamount to letting the ping ding on the ho ho, and then you're just like at the dry cleaner, like, what the fuck are you talking about, lady?
Right.
I'm not gonna do this faster in front of these people. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they're used to getting their way like that because other people be like, oh, because other people were enslaved.
yeah.
Because
Right.
because they
Jesus,
they
yeah.
dehumanize people all the time, so they made it just a show of like braggadocio.
That's just how they did it. That's just who they were.
They were fine manipulating and wanting control of a room, you know what I mean? And killing people. And in Boulder, Colorado, it's like, okay, but they're Mormon. You know what I mean? They're more so like incesting, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I think Don Pa knows more. Well, he's dead now, but
Or knew
I think
more.
And he never
there's
done
more
talked to
look
nobody.
into with Don Pa because
Uh-huh.
it's a very suspicious.
Some weird stuff happened.
yeah.
I think even just in the sense of he provides critical context of the kind of childhood and upbringing and parenting sort of subconscious things that Patsy Ramsey or John Ramsey could have, but also that entire family, and even creating and maintaining that dysfunctional environment in that house in their lives.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would think it would almost peter out. Almost like if someone, developed a quirk or had a, like, oh, I got a habit of like, I'm going to, ride a fucking unicycle. And then they like give up after 3 weeks. But if everybody's trying to ride unicycles, then they're like, okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And these other people, they bought into all that, like, well, those are the Ramseys. Are you jealous of them? Because that's that antebellum fucking horrible fucking
Right.
social
Snub nose,
socio-personal
like,
shit.
yeah,
And
better than
Nidra,
you.
in the one obituary that was originally released for Nidra, there is no mention of Don Pa.
Which is also weird.
That was in
weird.
2001, I believe. When she died.
Don Pa, he's probably a feared man, but also like, yeah, it breaks the context of like, if Patsy Ramsey's trying to be a better parent than someone who may have fucking fucked her sisters, then that's a low bar. And yet it's still completely justified in her mind because of the psychology of her, of
Oh
her
my God,
upbringing.
and he basically saved John's company too.
Yes.
So it's a thing of
So it's like
kind
he
of
wants to watch the kids, John.
Right.
to him where it's like, it's not gonna be weird, yeah.
Yeah. And it could just be even things where it's not a fucking like 7-time makeout sesh. It could be where it's just like he does weird things and microaggressions.
Yeah.
He does things constantly, possibly. And it's just like something where if Nidra is making fucking jokes about Patsy Ramsey's worst day of her life on her 40th birthday party as a way for some kind of entertainment and public embarrassment, then what does Nidra's husband and Patsy's father do for his kicks and his shits and giggles? And that's why he's at number 6.
He's at number 6.
Right.
And we still got 5 more to go, but that's going to be in part 2. And that was a good one.
I loved
Yeah,
it.
that was
I can't wait.
great.
You guys are gonna be shocked about these top 5.
We want to see your top 10 in the comments.
We sure
let us
do.
know what you think of ours.
Join our Patreon.
And again, we got 5 left, so that's a big net there.
There's, God, I was looking, we were talking about it earlier, and we still got to talk more about it because I may need to move one.
There's a lot to
we
tear
might need to
into.
change it as we go because there was some discussions regarding that. So I'm excited.
I'm
You guys
excited too.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well,
We're
hey,
making
again, let us know what you
progress.
think in the comment. What'd you say?
We're making progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I really
forward.
love you guys.
Oh, Teddy.
I feel like we've been fighting a lot.
See, this is why I do it.
I feel like we were gonna have an issue, but this little girl stuff is really bringing us together,
We're a
and I'm really
family.
thankful. Thank you, Donna.
Now give me my purse back.
No, I'll give it to you, but I need my tissue. But yeah,
All right.
thank
Well,
you,
hey.
Bobby.
All right. We'll see you guys at part 2. All right. I'm Bobby Pavlovsky.
I'm Teddy Ron Reagan. Just me, yeah.
And this is
JonBenet today.
Being a nanny was hot in the 90s. Thanks a lot to Fran Drescher. But Patsy was like, you are not getting no Fran Drescher in here.
I'm not Fran Drescher missing.
We're going to
Oh,
get
I
somebody
love
that looks like
Fran.
my mom, but poor.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh my.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Bob. No, wait, it's a sorbet.
Shut up.